Good evening, I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's first meeting of the year. How exciting, it's good to be back. We're gonna move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, so you guys can stand, please. Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving on to roll call.
Mayor Villarreal,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Soria,
Present.
Councilmember Flores, Councilmember Nave,
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you for that. Moving on to the proclamations, we're gonna have Pro Tem Soria read the proclamations since it's part of the football, so welcome.
Yes, I'm gonna read the proclamation. Before I do, I just want to say that this organization really changed my life back at the turn of the century in 2002. I participated in football in my 8th grade year, and that really changed the trajectory of my life. And it really helped me make better decisions as I grew older, and has really kept me centered here in Lindsay. I've coached for 10 years plus, so I really appreciate the fact that the city council was able to recognize the program.
We have all the football players come up.
Yeah, all players and coaches wanna stand up here at the front while I read it, come on up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on up. Players, coaches, volunteers, board members, all of you, please make your way.
Just everybody, just everybody.
Don't be shy.
Oh, stand up here.
You go wherever, it doesn't matter, you guys are still, so we just wanna,
Come on.
we wanna show you guys some love tonight, so.
So here we go. Whereas Lindsay Youth Football is a volunteer-run organization that has proudly served the youth of the city of Lindsay since 1969. And whereas the organization provides children ages 5 through 14 with meaningful opportunities to develop athletic skills, teamwork, discipline, leadership, and a strong sense of community engagement. And whereas many participants of Lindsay Youth Football have gone on to achieve continued athletic success and team excellence at the high school level and beyond, carrying forward the values of resilience, commitment, and sportsmanship instilled through the program. And whereas Lindsay Youth Football has demonstrated notable success, including during the 2025 season where the junior Cardinal football team advanced to the championship game and multiple teams earned playoff victories. And whereas Lindsay Youth Football proudly represents the city of Lindsay at competitions and events, fostering community pride and promoting positive youth development. And whereas the organization looks forward to continued growth, achievement, and service to the community in 2026 and beyond. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Pro Tem Joe Soria, do hereby recognize and commend Lindsay Youth Football for its longstanding dedication to the youth of our community and its positive impact on the city of Lindsay. In witness thereof, I hereby want to set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Lindsay to be affixed this 13th day of January 2026 as Lindsay Youth Football Appreciation Day. Congratulations, Lindsay. That's it, bro. Take this, secretary.
I'll take that.
Secretary.
Thank you.
So, yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, guys, congratulations. You guys gotta get down a little bit because we're short.
He's gotta take a knee.
You guys can take a knee.
Yeah.
3-point stance, go. Down.
That's fine, I'm fine.
Not me.
Better.
Let me see. Careful, you're blocking the mayor.
Sorry.
1, 2, and 3. All right. Go Cardinal.
Let's get a break. Let's go. Let's get a break. Everybody, right here.
Let's
Let's
go.
go. Come on, guys. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Everybody, let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's go.
Eli, follow. Let's go.
Gordon's on three.
Yeah, thank you guys for showing up, and I do appreciate all you guys. I got to see your guys' work and what you guys do for the community. It's amazing, you know, just getting these learners involved, and it's awesome. So I appreciate you guys and the program.
Thank you, everybody.
I want to give a special thanks to all the parents, all the board members and coaches that volunteer their time to the volunteer ran organization. We are still looking for coaches, we still are looking for volunteers throughout the season. I really appreciate the current board that's on there, they're here. Our treasurer who's really turned around the ship, our secretary, our equipment manager, Lexi, Jessica, and also Megan. The rest of the board that wasn't able to attend, Izzy and Nick, I really appreciate them as well as Hector. So we look forward to having a great fantastic 2026 season.
You. At this time, we're gonna move on to a closed session, so you guys are welcome to stay, or you guys can go, so thank you. Thank you.
All right, good evening. We're back from, closed session. We have nothing to report at this time. We are moving on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion? I move. This. I have a motion from Nave, motion from, a second from Claudia, right? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to council report, anybody can start it off?
I'll make it quick. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Hope you guys had a great holiday with your family. It's been a while since we've been here. We just, attended Santa night. And then the movie, The Grinch, here in front of City Hall was a lot of fun. We hope you guys can join us the next time he does it. I don't know when that's gonna be, but hopefully soon. And that's all I got. Thank you.
So thank you.
Well, I just want to let everybody know, stay safe. If you're going out of town, be careful with the fog. Stay warm and Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys had a Happy New Year.
Sorry.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. This has been a busy holiday season. I also attended the Santa night. Thank you to the city manager for coercing another elected official to bring his camel. So we appreciate that. We appreciate that. To all volunteers, to all the public, entire public safety department, I appreciate you all. I also attended the Taste of Lindsay that night. Thank you to all the city businesses in downtown, the chamber that put that on, that worked with all the businesses. I really want to give a shout out to the Parks and Recreation Department. I got a text message that made it very clear that the park has been a priority. The bathrooms were clean. They even had soap. So it's the little things. It's the little things, and that's not the first compliment that I've gotten about the park. So thank you for doing your best. I've attended a couple of Lindsay High School soccer games, basketball games, so lots of activities. I also attended a board meeting for Lindsay football, the Skimmers board meeting, and I just want to let everybody know that there's volunteer opportunities for senior night. If you want to do an exit interview, sit on the panel for an exit interview, we sit on at least one night. So you're taking signups now with Catherine Gonzalez is the point of contact. There's also auditions for the MAD one for the Lindsay Community Theater on January 27th. I know someone will announce this, but I want to announce that the Lindsay Chamber of Commerce is having their awards night, February 7th. And there is also a raffle for the Spirit mural. And it's a lot of good stuff on the raffle, so take a look at it. I think it's $20. So please support the revitalization of our great mural. And I also want to let everyone know pools are open if you're not on social media, and we have a heater, so the pools are open. I'm gonna make my way down there one of these days. So thank you all for attending, and I appreciate you all making your way here.
Thank you. Okay, you're good. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna keep it short, because he said everything that we were gonna say, so I appreciate that. But do take, the time to come out. If you do see it on our social media, like all the events that we're doing, like, go out there. They're fun, you know, your kids will love it. So, yeah, we're putting on a lot of things, and I think there's some upcoming things coming, Armando, soon. So, yeah, but yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's all I have to report. Moving on to public comment. The public is invited to comment on any subject under the jurisdiction of the Lindsay City Council. Please note that the speakers that wish to comment on a regular item or a public hearing on tonight's agenda will have the opportunity to speak when public comment for that item is requested by mayor. Comments shall be 3 minutes, limited to 3 minutes per person, with the 30 minutes of a total comment period unless otherwise indicated by the mayor. The public may also choose to submit a comment before the meeting via email. Public comments received via email will be distributed to the council prior to the start of the meeting and incorporated into the official minutes. However, they will not be read aloud. Under state law, matters presented under public comment cannot be acted upon by a council at this time. Do you have any public comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Brian Thoburn, Government Relations Manager for Southern California Edison. And on behalf of Southern California Edison, I want to extend the best wishes to everyone here and all of our customers in Lindsay. A Happy New Year. And also want to express our thanks to the city for your partnership this past year. We've had a longstanding, partnership, with the city and, on working on projects, and as you all grow, we, continue to want to be there with you to help, power that growth. I also want to express my thanks to Mr. Crocker and the staff for their support and partnership, and look forward to building on that this year with you all on the council and with your staff. And then lastly, I did want to plug during the break, I was able to discover that our Edison Scholars Program, the deadline that is not for another week. So I will be shooting some information to Mr. Crocker. It'd be great if we can get a Lindsay recipient this year, because it's a really neat program where 40 students throughout the service territory are awarded $50,000 scholarships to continue their college education. So we've had great luck in the past with Valley students being honored with that scholarship, but I'd like to see a Lindsay student get it this year. So with that, I just want to express my thanks.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Happy New Year.
How's it going, Eric?
It's always a good day to be in, or a good evening to be in Lindsay, even though there's no baked potatoes this week. I had to say that. I missed that. Eric Coyne on behalf of Senator Melissa Hurtado. I just wanted to give a brief update because she's had some changes in her committees and things. Some very exciting news. She's always going to be an advocate for water, for health, access to health, food, and of course she fought for 7 years to get the chairmanship of Senate Agriculture, but something better came up. She's always still going to be there for agriculture, but she had a chance with the new leadership change to move up to be appointed to the Joint Legislative Budget Committee. For people like Tyler who always be chasing the money, this is the place to
You better be.
And even more, she's now chairing the Senate Budget Subcommittee number 4, which is a bunch of garbage that means when things go to die in a suspense file, this is what we're behind the curtain to see what hasn't made it to the Senate or the Assembly for a vote, and to try to either kill a beer with fire or to move forward and try to save it. And then I just had to look because, you know, some of these other committees that she's on, you can only chair one committee, or in this case, I guess, a joint committee and a Senate committee. But she's also still on banking and financial institutions. She moved over there last year. A big part of our concerns that she's had is fraud prevention. She's been looking at all these pricing algorithms where they try to adjust your prices. They know that parents maybe stop and grab something to buy right after work to cook for dinner. And guess what? Suddenly you see the prices go up for about 2 hours, right? And then you have some of the newer stores that have electronic pricing, and then about 8 o'clock, everything's cheaper again. So we don't like that. She's on budget and fiscal review, energy, utilities, and communications. She's still there. Environmental quality, government organization was a new one last year. She's glad to be back there. So she's got quite a lot of work to do this week. All the senators, and especially those that have more prominent chairmanships, it's all about meetings for proposed bills, to discuss bills, to get them heard in your subcommittees, because they have to make it to at least one house of government by the end of the month, or they just kind of, you gotta wait. And so that's the other thing is all the attending other informational hearings to see what's being proposed, because you want to kill it with fire, you want to support it. So anyway, with that said, I just want to again wish you a happy new year. Anybody that has any questions, anything we could do for you at the state level, you all have my number. Love to meet with you or start a discussion, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Eric.
Hello.
Good evening.
Dr. Eric Granella. I want to wish you all a happy year as well. Hope that there's prosperity and all of that. And you may recall over the last year and a half or so, I mean, how many folks about at Cackle Park? Well, the other day I drove by and I saw that ground had been broken, so I want to thank you. Slowly, but it got here, and hopefully that it'll speed up as they lay the cement dries, and we can have a park that can be enjoyed by that part of town. As always, when I come to you and I talk to you, I have one topic that I always want to talk to you about: inclusivity. Inclusivity, because I think all of our residents, all of our taxpayers have equal right and should be enjoying equally. So I just came by to thank you for taking the next step with Capital Park, and I'm anxiously looking forward to the blueprint. If I could get a copy of what we're headed with it. I'm told that's not actually accurate anymore. So I'd like to be able to take a look at it and contribute in any way we can to the community. The second thing I'd like to say, although it's a little dated now, in October, we had a town hall meeting, and the community really enjoyed it. In fact, it was October 17th when we had it. And we felt the community, and it was led by the Dolores Huerta Foundation, felt that it was so positive that we wanted to have on a regular basis. And this is the month that we're supposed to have, and we've not really heard when that's going to take place. So we'd like to encourage, if you want to hear what's happening in the community, at the grassroots level, open the door, come on out, talk to us. And we had a number of people that were typically don't sit in this audience. These are folks that typically are out making dinner, working a second job or a third job, and so they made time to go and express their point of view and to be able to have it be participants in community government. So I encourage you to continue the town hall meetings, and I'm hoping that this January, which we're at now, we can help host that, and so we can get it out to the word to people so they can be participants. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have any more public comments?
Good evening, council. For the record, my name is Neva Mesqua, and I'm here representing QK, your current city engineer. On behalf of QK's engineer management team, I want to sincerely thank the council and the city staff for the opportunity to have served as the city engineers team since 2018. It has been an honor to support the city through the importance of the infrastructure improvements the city has made, through the regulatory challenges that we have faced, and through the periods of growth. I would also like to personally thank you for the opportunity to serve on the city engineers team over the past 2 years. Bringing with me institutional knowledge developed during my time as a city employee, and applying it in service of the city through my work at QK. Trying not to crack it. Working closely with council and staff has been very meaningful and professionally rewarding to me. So while the city is moving forward with a new city engineer firm tonight, please know that QK remains committed to supporting a smooth and successful transition. We're here to assist in any way needed. And we also hope to continue partnering with the city in any capacity should the need arise. Thank you again for the trust you place in us over the years, and we wish the city continued success as it moves forward. I leave tonight with the hope to serve you once again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more public comments at this time?
Hi, good evening. My name is Denise. I know it's been about 2 months already. I'm a board member for the Lindsay Cook-Off. I just wanted to come and thank the council for approving our event year after year. To thank our Mayor Misty for helping me throughout the event, and also for the police and fire for helping us keep everything under control. It was a really good event. Also for the turkey drive, thank you for helping us host that event as well. And the Santa night was my first time actually being in there and giving out the toys, so I was excited for me to do. And so I just want to come and say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment at this time? All right, going once, going twice, public comment is closed. Moving on to the city manager report, take it away.
All right, for the next hour.
Yeah.
Everybody laugh. So quite a few of the things were spoken about, over the last month. Dan and I just want to reiterate that, thank you staff, thank you Lindsay Police Officers Association. I know you guys, fundraise all year long for that. And, that was my first Santa night. It was, I think we had over 800 gifts, I think, that were given out, or approximately 800. So, it was a great event. I thought it was fantastic. The tree lighting, that was a beautiful celebration. I know we had a lot of community partners, there for that, for the parade. And so 2 back-to-back great events. I know we had the movie night as well on the 3rd consecutive Friday, so it was a very busy December for staff, but I think those are the things that are really enjoyable. I know we had council for the first 2 events we had all council at each event, and so it was great to see the mayor and council and staff all out supporting each other and supporting this community. So just kudos to everyone that put on that. I know it was all hands on deck. I also, just want to acknowledge that we had I think a fairly successful, employee appreciation Christmas lunch at the Wellness Center last month as well. So seemed like people that were able to attend had an enjoyable time. We got to spend some time together, have some lunch, just be able to get to know each other on a little bit of a better level outside of just the normal work hours and trying to do all that other necessary things that help make this city run on a regular basis. I want to highlight a few things that we've been doing, just to stay tuned. We continue to work on IT and making some progress, making some upgrades, getting some a report out, an assessment from a cybersecurity standpoint and from a software and a hardware standpoint. So I'm hoping that next month we will have a report on that we can present to council and the public. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of recommendations. So just in speaking with them last week, the list continues to get longer and longer. So a lot of emphasis we're going to need to place on making sure that we have a safe system. And same thing with energy. We've continued to engage with energy partners about being more efficient, generating some more power through solar and doing some other things just to make sure that we have some good improvements. And we're looking at some other capital projects that we can piggyback on to do some things. There's some facilities need new roof, there's windows, there's other type of things. So we're assessing all of that. And again, that should be coming to this council with the report recommendations next month, if not the following. Olive Bowl, we've made some great progress on that. We finally got some of the switch gear that has been lost in outer space somewhere, but it's finally being installed. Cactus Park, as was mentioned, is being worked on. We have that portion of it should be completed in March. So we've got another couple of months of work on that side. While the Olive Bowl should be the Olive Bowl portion of the area should be completed by the end of this month. So there'll still be some work on the Cactus Park side for another month and a half or so after that. But we're making some good progress, and everyone knows, the contractors, all the individuals involved, that we're planning on having baseball and softball out there late this spring and practice and all that. So there's a big emphasis on that. Well, 11, we're continuing to make progress on that and getting out some bid documents, finalizing the design work. So that should be coming before council in the next couple of months as well. And we are working with, we'll be working with staff we've heard that town halls are of interest, so to the public, and so I think we're looking at possibly doing a little bit different as far as the program and having general updates. There was a specific, I think, request in the past for the October meeting. But considering I haven't heard of a specific issue that needs to be addressed, but have a more broad city presence there that can cover multiple areas and fields and have a more, so we're working on that. So just stay tuned, but we should have that scheduled within the next week or so. We'll shoot for January, but it depends on schedules. If not, it may trickle into February, but we are planning on hosting that. We'll make sure and inform the community in advance so that we can have a great attendance. Lastly, well, maybe not lastly, a few other things. One, the assessor came out with a report that I want to highlight that Lindsay's growth from an assessed valuation was last year was 3.66%. So that's the lowest out of all of the 8 cities in the county. I don't say that as necessarily a negative, but just to know that we've got nowhere to go but up. And so I anticipate in this next upcoming year, our assessed valuation, as we have more building happening, as there continues to be more growth, that number will continue to increase. From an overall net value, it's just over $630 million, $634 million is the overall, all the property within the city limits. What the assessor thinks that it's valued at is the value of this city. So it's more than a couple other cities, but everyone else is larger. A reminder, 700 forms are due. You guys should have received notifications, and so that goes for council, for mayor. It also goes for staff. So department heads, and then even there's several others that are listed. Well, that's an item on today that we're finalizing, the conflict of interest. So department heads, make sure you notify staff underneath that need to fill out 700 forms. And that means for committees, certain committees may require that if you serve on committees. So like East Coweta might be one, TCRTA, they require a separate form for that outside of City of Lindsay too. And then lastly, I'll just briefly touch on the governor's budget. So governor proposed a January budget last week. Overall, he's not anticipating as big of a shortfall as the legislature is anticipating, but still a shortfall nonetheless. I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot of wiggle room for asks, but one thing I did find in particular, and our lobbyist is putting together a specific analysis for us that we should have by the end of this week. But there is a pot of funding for community resilience that looks like we could be eligible for heating and cooling center, and might be something for a community center of sorts that whether it's the church that's still for sale but that hasn't happened down the street from us here on Gale Hill, or some other project. It's something I think that I'm going to make sure that we're going to be looking at. I think overall statewide there's not a ton of money, but there is, I don't know, 60 million or so that's in that pot. So we wouldn't need that. A few million could go a long way for us. So that concludes my report.
It was almost an hour.
Yep.
Moving on to 12.1, employee recognition. We're going to recognize Yolanda Benson. Come up here. Yolanda has been working for the city for 15 years in the finance department. Yolanda provides a wonderful customer service for our residents. It is normal to see Yolanda taking payments at the front of the counter, answering questions regarding utility bills, helping business owners and their business license, helping departments issue payments to vendors, and most recently, assisting with payroll as backup. We have seen Yolanda grow as a professional and extremely thankful for her help, support, and dedication to our community. We look forward to having Yolanda as part of our team for many years to come. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we put that back in there, but show it on. Yeah, thank you. You guys wanna take a picture of the picture? Yeah. Cheese.
This year hard is my fault.
Mine was out.
One, two, and three, and then this way. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Did you want to say anything, Yolanda, or,
Thank you.
Okay. That's what I mean now. I also just, want to mention that, so this recognition specifically is for the 15-year mark. So we just thank you for, there's not that many employees that have been here 15 years or longer, but we appreciate the dedication to the city.
Thanks, thank you. Moving up to 12, the introduction and oath office of police officers and police sergeant. Wait. Oh, wait, no, just kidding, 12.2. Moving on to CPR Lifesaver Award presented by Chief Nate. Come on, you know who you are.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not going to spoil it with telling the story because it's going to be read in the proclamation here in a minute, but in late November, these two gentlemen behind me here, Lieutenant Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros, responded to a medical call for a full cardiac arrest restaurant here in town. Medical aids are by far the most common call that we handle as a fire department, which is typical of every fire department, I think probably in the nation. But when they arrived, they did find a patient on the floor in full cardiac and respiratory arrest. What was amazing about this call is they did everything that we've asked them to do. And this one turned out very well. So this person, they did actually get pulse and respiration back. They were transported to a local hospital and things turned out very well. So without further ado, I'll have the proclamation read, please.
Well, you took all my answers. You already said it, but the City of Lindsay proclamation, whereas on November 29th, 2025, Lieutenant Jeremiah Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros responded to a medical aid request for an unresponsive person at a restaurant in the City of Lindsay. And whereas Lieutenant Jeremiah Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros were the first arriving emergency personnel on scene. And whereas Lieutenant Jeremiah Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros immediately located the patient and determined he had no pulse or respiration. And whereas Lieutenant Jeremiah Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros immediately began cardiopulmonary resuscitation and employed the use of an automated external defibrillator. And whereas in conjunction with later arriving emergency medical services, Lieutenant Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Cisneros' patient achieved a return of spontaneous circulation and was transported to a local hospital for definite care. And whereas Lieutenant Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Cisneros' patient has since made a full recovery. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor of City of Lindsay City Council, on behalf of the residents and community, extends a heartfelt appreciation to Lieutenant Jeremiah Arevalo and Reserve Firefighter Alex Cisneros for their outstanding efforts, dedication to service, and effective application of their training in emergency cardiac care. Proclaimed this 13th day of January of 2026 by the Mayor of Lindsay and City Council. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Yes.
I would like to know about the record
Thank
that
you.
Reserve
Thank you.
Thank you. for what you
Firefighter
guys do.
Cisneros does this for free.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you. Gonna take a picture? Yeah, let's take a picture.
Little policy.
Yeah, I'm sure, so.
It's, part of the Red Sea, that's all.
Yeah. Just kidding. Is she there?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Job.
Okay, now moving on now to 12.3. Take it away, chief.
All right, the rest of you know who you are. This is what 49 people looks like for the record. All right. It's a great evening when we can swear in a new employee. It's phenomenal when we can swear in so many at the same time. So lots of new faces, and you'll get to meet them all this evening. So from my right, your left, this is Officer Edwin Gill, Officer Christian Ariano,
No.
returning Officer Yohan Cervantes, and Officer Brian Rubalcaba, who already has 17 or 18 nicknames already. Officer Rubalcaba has finished his field training, which is a momentous occasion in and of itself. So if I could have Madam Clerk come up and administer.
You want me here or the?
One at a time. Got yourself.
Yeah.
I ordered the bags.
You want me to face? No, okay.
Face their family.
Mayor,
Yeah,
Mayor, so
face their family. There you go.
Okay. Raise your right hand, and then you're gonna repeat after me, but after I'm gonna start with you, Brian. You're gonna say your name, and then Johan, and after, and then everyone repeat after me, okay? I
Brian Gonzalez. Joel Francis.
I, Christian Ariana,
I, Edwin Gill.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the State of California,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties upon
the duties upon
which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
those can be pinned with my son, Brian Gonzalez.
Yeah. Welcome.
You're good, you're good.
That's fine.
Takes a little.
So who's gonna be pinning me? Who's gonna be my fiance, Jasmine?
You need, you might want to.
Good job.
Welcome.
But wait, there's more. We also have a lateral sergeant's friends in. He gets his own oath because the word there.
Yes.
You guys are so lucky you get to hear this exact same thing again. Great. I,
I,
Matthew McMillan,
Matthew McMillan,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully
and faithfully
discharge the duties upon
discharge the duties upon
which I am about to enter.
which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My grandmother Judy Atkins.
Oh, yeah, she got here early. Yes, she did. We kept her warm.
My grandma doesn't take me to it.
Yeah, thank you. It's such a beautiful thing to see, well, welcome for one, but it's such a beautiful thing to see all these like Lindsay cops now, because we have like four, you know. Now we got, I love to see it all, you know, it makes us feel safer, you know, in the community, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
So moving on to the consent calendar. Routine items approved in one motion unless an item is pulled for discussion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which of the event the item will be removed from the consent calendar and be discussed and voted upon by a separate motion. Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the consent calendar.
A second.
I have a motion from Pro Tem Soria and a motion from Council Sanchez. All in favor?
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on to 14.1, public safety, Chief Dave.
Take it away.
Should just stay standing.
You're getting exercise.
That's right. You can rest there. Okay. So this is gonna be the second quarter update from public safety. I didn't realize we had so few department heads and I came all the way back around. Yeah, well, here we go. All right, so you guys will all remember from last time, the police services division obviously is responsible for everything related to police functions. So the last quarter, we had 2,107 calls for service, which was up 8.5% from the last quarter. 152 arrests, which was up 38%, so a tremendous increase over the last quarter. And 7% fewer reports at 376. So busy holiday season for us for sure. Bunch of faces you just met. Highlights for the last quarter for the police services division. We did hire a lateral sergeant, 3 additional police officers. We advanced 1 officer from field training, 2 solo patrols. So he's out there all by himself doing good things. We opened a CSO recruitment to backfill the vacancy that we created by filling a police training position. That police training is set to graduate the academy next week. So that's a good thing for us. We're fantastically excited to see what he's going to be able to do. We are beginning the recertification cycle for perishable skills, which is mandated training through post, the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, which includes routine things as well, like CPR, vehicle pursuits, and other legislatively mandated training. We also, as we spoke last time, Created a master training calendar to give folks the opportunity to express an interest in something they like doing aside from state mandated training. But they have a particular affinity for a certain set of skills, and we're trying to tailor that as long as there's a benefit back to the department and the city to send those out to those advanced officer trainings to one, provide a better service to the community, to keep these folks interested in working here and doing good things in our community. The CSO recruitment opened just after the first of the year, and in 24 hours, we had 18 applicants. So that's a huge amount of interest in that position. We're very excited to see what shakes out. Fire services, again, definition's kind of in the title, but this is our fire and medical aid portion of the house. 465 total calls for service over the last quarter, which was up 7% from the quarter prior. 20 fire-related calls, which was a 46% decrease, rather. Surprising, because typically wintertime we get structure fires due to people trying to keep warm with space heaters and other sort of unsafe items. And so we had a very slow holiday period as opposed to years past. And then 333 EMS calls last quarter as opposed to 358 this quarter. So that was up about 8%. Some highlights from that division: we refocused efforts on intra-agency training. So we're training a lot with our agency cooperators, mainly the Tulare County Fire Department. They've been fantastic partners in providing reciprocal service to us. We executed a fire assistance agreement with CAL FIRE, the Tulare unit, which has some of the foothills around us that do catch on fire sometimes in the summer. We were typically called to those fires under the Master Mutual Aid Agreement. This agreement allows us to respond sooner and be paid for that, which is always positive for us. We currently have 8 volunteer applications that are out, and we have folks that are going into backgrounds to bulk up our numbers for this oncoming fire season, which we think is going to start sooner than last year and probably go longer. No one in the state is in a drought, but it's still pretty dry. If you have any questions along the way, I'm sorry to get off the races, but feel free to stop me as we continue. So operational improvements, a lot of this is just continuing some of the things that we were doing last quarter. We did begin again our advanced officer training based on a master training calendar. We have purchased 1 new police vehicle with plans to purchase 2 more very shortly here. We did find that the last vendor that we used for those, which is out of Denver, they actually have cars on the ground in Bakersfield, which will give us a tighter turnaround that route then again. We transitioned a lieutenant, John Moreno, to administrative duty. So he's finally off the street and in his office with his furniture and doing administrative duty like he's supposed to be. And he's helping me out tremendously as we continue to sort of take off hats and find jobs for people that they should be doing instead of everything all at the same time. Continuing our public outreach and community engagement efforts to ensure administrative efficiency, making sure that equipment works in good order, and addressing some of those things that fell by the wayside for just a bit. So continued goals for the rest of the fiscal year through this quarter for sure. Fill the remaining vacant positions that we do have, continue addressing capital improvements such as the vehicles we spoke about, and some deferred maintenance items. Continue to address quality of life issues that have come up in the city by filling that CSO position again. Still working on potential solutions, hopefully for animal control. Those discussions are moving along. We'll be able to have something a little bit more solid as we move through the year, and continue advanced officer training and increase our reserve numbers. So folks are a fantastic help to us. And some highlights for the last quarter. Merry Christmas and happy to take any questions, comments, concerns,
Any questions, concerns?
Yeah, I'm curious about how many volunteers you hope to have as far as,
on the fire side, that 8 is going to round us out. Yeah, so I'd like to have 12. The last couple out of county deployments we had, we were really close to having to call out because it depended on a couple of people that were more available than others. So by having a larger pool to draw from, hopefully if we need 3 bodies and we have 12 volunteers, some of those 3 are going to be easy to find and available, and we can rotate your personnel instead of sending the same people out over and over again. It's fantastic for them when they go out for a couple weeks at a time. They make a lot of good money, but we want to be able to spread that out and not burn these folks out. It's a lot of arduous work.
Thank you. Any more questions? No. Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Moving on to 14.2, fiscal year 2025-2026 review of the second quarter. I was going to have Luis Nunez, our Finance Director.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We have
The second quarter budget review, there it is. Perfect. And, so this budget review is going to be July through the end of December. And so we captured every payment and every revenue that came in through those 6 months. There it is. So, just as a reminder, we have revenue that comes in during various times of the period. And so this slide is just a copy of one of the previous slides from the first quarter review, just to reiterate that not all of our revenue comes in at the same time. And so some of our big revenue comes in December or early January. Some of it comes in monthly, but some of it is just later on in the fiscal year, even though we've been paying expenses starting July 1st. And so that's just so that we remember that some of these numbers for our revenue for our major funds may not look as beautiful as we would want them, higher than the 50%, but a lot of it has to do with when the revenue is received. And so we are at the midpoint of our budget, and so we want to see that every single one of our revenues for the second quarter is above the 50%. Some of the funds do meet them, and some of them are a little bit lower. Now, in the water one, we have an asterisk there. It's because the budget has revenue for a grant that would be 100% offset by an expenditure. We haven't asked for the grant money, we haven't spent the money, so that's why that looks like 22%. Otherwise, we are fine.
Just for clarification, that is for well 11.
Yes. So that's why that number looks like 22%, and it's like, whoa, wait, it's not really 22%. The refuse fund, close enough to the 50%, and then the sewer is close to the 50%. So those are comfortable numbers. Now, the general fund is just right above the 52%. One thing to remember is that 2 of our sales tax revenues for Measure R and Measure O are not there, not Measure O, sales tax and Measure O, they are not there yet because of when we get the payment. So even without those 2 payments, we're at 52%. So that's, really good. And then there's an attachment with all the detailed information in summary format that goes along with these numbers after the presentation. The next page on the presentation has our expenses for all our major funds. So the general fund is a lot, 53%. On these expenses, we're trying to stay the same, as close as possible, if not below the 50%. Just means that we're being very tight, we're paying attention and being very diligent with what we're paying for and when we're paying it, and making sure that we stay within our budget. The general fund, we have a couple of those high payments that are due July 1st, like the PERS unfunded liability and the liability insurance. So that will always skew how our expenses look. When you look at the individual departments, you will also see that the finance department looks way high. One of the things that we realized is that in the professional services for Baker Tilly cost should not be in the city manager's department. It should be in the finance department, because they were doing a study regarding the finance department. So we moved over the expense to the finance department. I just hadn't budgeted for that there. So we'll have to do an adjustment at the end of the fiscal year. But that's one of the reasons why that one's just so high when you look at the individual departments. The non-departments, it looks like it's just out of control also. We've had a settlement payment. And so for that reason, that one is really, really high. That had not been budgeted either. One of the other ones on the water side, it looks extremely low, but it's because we have some projects that are going to be done there. We haven't done those projects, haven't paid for some of those projects, and so that one looks like it's at 38% compared to what we budgeted for expenses. For refuse, 19% is super low. The reason for that is that we pay our vendor Mid-Valley in January, and so we don't get the property tax roll revenue, which includes the refuse revenue, until the very last week, if not the last couple of days in December. So it just doesn't give us that time to even, make that payment. So that's the reason that that expense looks so low. And then sewer is 53%, it's trending fine. All of these numbers, if you look at the attachment, there's an Excel attachment, which gives you a little bit deeper breakdown on the summary between the salary and services and supplies. In case you want me to go through any of those, I can. And then on the overview, one of the things that we're gonna be making sure is that we continue to monitor our revenues. We continue to make sure that all of our sales tax is coming in based on the forecast that we received from Muni Services. It's in line with what we had budgeted. So we're gonna continue to keep an eye on it and making sure that it comes in where we projected. The revenues are not enough to cover all of our CIP expenses, and so we have to continue to look at grants, which is what the team has been doing, and will continue to do it in order to be able to do some of those big projects that the current revenues just wouldn't be able to support. Directors are doing a really good job at making sure they get multiple quotes and making sure that they find the best price possible in order for us to be able to be as diligent and careful with how we spend our money. And so we'll continue to have them do that, and we'll continue to do that for the remainder of our budget. And one of the other things that we are also doing is we're reviewing our expenses. Every department is reviewing expenses on a monthly basis. And so if it gives them an idea of where are they with their expenses versus the budget, and which areas they need to look at and be a little bit more careful with, or if something may have not been budgeted, let's start paying attention so that we can budget for the next year. So far right now, it looks like we're doing a decent job with maintaining our expenses in line. Is there any questions?
I just had a question on the number, the continental services advisory one that says 500,000, it's 589%. Is that,
That includes the settlement
that's
payment.
okay, that was, I was curious.
And so just for the record, that was an unanticipated expense. However, we did receive revenue for that as well. So there was a insurance payment, so it wasn't necessarily out of pocket. I'd also just want to add that, Soledad mentioned that, as it related to, her department and some expenses that, on professional services that were typically in my budget. We've also looked at other, department budgets, and we've done some consolidation. I'll give IT as an example. In the past, everyone shared a portion of IT costs, whether it was some type of, internet costs or some other type of software. So we've consolidated that into IT, has its own line item that has its own fund, that this council approved. And so those are getting consolidated. So there's some of that we're still working out. Some of the kinks as we're coming through, and we'll be having budget adjustments later on, but we did budget it for them elsewhere, but it shouldn't necessarily come out of the direct, department's budget when we already approved, those expenses, but elsewhere, so.
Thank you. Any more questions? No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 15.1, the review of refuge and rates in lighting and landscape district. For the fiscal year of 2025-2026, and this is submitted by Kyler. Take it away, Kyler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Tonight, I just wanted to bring up a discussion. This is something that we've spoken about over the past year. A need that we need to evaluate, specifically on two separate funds. Soledad mentioned one in particular, the refuse fund, but as well as our lighting and landscape districts, which we have multiple districts throughout the city. Not all areas of the city are covered under a lighting and landscape district, but we do have several that are in the red, and they aren't covering the assessments, the fees that are gained annually are not covering the cost to maintain their common area spaces. We can go to the next slide. So again, we've just been reviewing and identifying, we've been looking at these, just like we're looking at all the funds. And so we want to look and gauge the temperature of the council for looking at what we want to do for all these different funds. The next slide. So in particular with the lighting and landscape districts, so typically this just outlines what we normally do with this. There's an assessment that is voted upon through a Prop 218 election, the creation of a facilities district. So we will be implementing these type of districts for all new developments. So anytime there's a new development, this is typically how we get some of the areas that are, along sidewalks, street lights, other things that, the whole community, the neighborhood really benefits from. So that's where we'll see most of the existing districts that we have are in the newer parts of town. It's not necessarily going to be in the older parts of town because they didn't utilize this type of mechanism in the past. And so it's more of a quote unquote modern thing that's happened over the last 30 plus years or so that really has been instituted. So landscaping, lighting, irrigation, infrastructure upkeep. And we say infrastructure upkeep because there's two in particular. The townhomes on Samoa and then on Sweetbriar, so across the street from each other, those also include parking lot. So the maintenance and the upkeep of the parking lot for those townhomes within the gated area is included in that assessment district. But that just gives you an idea as far as what we spend and pay for. We do, for the landscaping portions of this, we do outsource landscaping, and so I will work with staff to look at the contracts and evaluate that and make sure that they're doing what's appropriate and making sure that we've got good bids on that and ensuring that we're keeping our costs low too, because recognizing that all costs are going up. Let's go to the next one. On the refuse side, so why we're looking at that is that there's been a few things that have happened. One, refuse, the rates were last evaluated 5 years ago. So typically, what's a good standard practice is to evaluate your rates, whether it's water rates, sewer rates, trash rates, lighting and landscape. Every 5 years or so is a good opportunity to evaluate that. When the water rates and the sewer rates were approved by this council a year and a half ago or so, it was under a 5-year rate plan that it was approved under. So that's a good typical thing. So refuse is up for that. The current practice has been for the franchise fee, which this year we budgeted for $305,000. The current practice is that it helps to offset the existing payments and expenses for that fund. But typically, cities will use that franchise fee in their general fund to help with ongoing normal costs, whether it's employee costs, salaries, benefits for employees, if there's programs that we want to do. And $300,000 would go a long way to help us with other general fund needs that we have. But as of right now, it's been budgeted historically in that refuse fund. So to take that out would mean that that fund would be extremely tight. And so looking at making some additional revenue for that fund would also be helpful. The other thing that we as a city have done in the past, but currently are not doing, is that we've also transferred funds out of refuse to help mitigate the negative impacts that heavy trash trucks have on our streets and roads into our street improvement fund. So we haven't been doing that, and I think that we all know that our streets could use some additional TLC, and so having some additional funds in there would be extremely helpful to ensuring that we're maintaining that. And last, the first bullet, as I went in reverse order, is that SB 1383 organics compliance. We do have some costs associated with that. That was in the 2021 rates. Those did take into some organic, some of that compliance into effect, but we've had some other things that have come up. And so just making sure that we're capturing all of those things as well as increased rates. So next slide. This specifically shows 4 of the districts that are in deficit, so it's not a huge overall dollar amount when we consider the overall budget of the city. However, 12,000 for almost 13 for the Sweetbriar townhomes. Another almost 11,000 for Sierra View Estates, Sierra Vista 3,500 and 4,400 for Palouse Ranch. So it all adds up, and when they are negative, we're still paying the bill. So that collectively, the rest of the city is actually subsidizing those particular neighborhoods for the upkeep of those areas. So that is a policy decision that this council can continue to move forward and accept, or we can go a different direction with that. That's fine. So really, that's what we're looking at. Again, just evaluating and seeing what they can do, and ultimately, our goal would be is that all the districts and every fund and any type of enterprise fund would pay for itself. So water isn't going to have to, the same way that water and sewer that the council looked at and making sure that they were paying for all the ongoing expenses and the upgrades that are needed. We'd like that for lighting and landscape districts as well as for refuse. So, if we don't do anything, then we're gonna basically continue to subsidize these areas and these funds through general fund, which just means that takes away from ongoing programs, that takes away from employees, for our ability to do all different other services that are not funded specifically through these fees. So what I'm looking for some direction is, I'd like to be able to, because these are enterprise funds, there is a very specific process that we have to go through in order to evaluate and see about raising additional revenue. First, it starts with conducting a study. So we would do a study, we would look at options, see what amount is an appropriate amount. That study, the results of that study would come back to council. You guys would have input and determine whether or not that's an appropriate dollar amount, or if you even want to move forward. You can make a decision at the time to say, no, we want to continue to do status quo, which I would hope that wouldn't be the case. But if that were the case, then we would live with that and we would continue to budget appropriately, or we could look at other options. If we did look at other options as far as increasing any of these rates, and it could be a mixture. We could say no to refuse and yes to this lighting and landscape district, but no to that one. I mean, there's a lot of different variations that we can do it. But whatever the case is, any that we would move forward with, we would need to go through a Prop 218 election. We would hold the election, and ultimately in those specific lighting and landscape districts, they would have the opportunity to vote only on their particular area. And then if there was anything related to refuse, that would be citywide. And so if it were all the above, then if you lived in a district, you would be voting on refuse and then your lighting and landscape district as well. The results of that, we would then come back to council and you guys would approve of it, assuming that it was in alignment, and then we would ultimately place it on the property tax roll, because all of these fees are collected via property taxes. So the deadline for that for the county is early August. So we would need to have the election, have it certified in July. The election would happen prior to July, but it would come before council then, and the study would need to be even before that. So study needs to happen within the next few months, election theoretically, certification, and then the collection of that further. So open for any thoughts that council has as far as whether or not we should proceed.
So I definitely think we should do a study so we can evaluate the results, so you can come back with numbers, because I don't feel like the city should be paying for the district and then losing out, taking away from other things. Thoughts, concerns?
I just want to understand, so we're gonna do the rest of the franchise fee, and the franchise fee is usually, you said it's a standard practice in our city to leave it in the fund. But
Yeah,
we could take it out, right? The 300,000 is from Mid Valley. is paying us for using our streets to collect the trash, right? So
Yeah, so essentially, every trash hauler typically will provide a franchise fee for the exclusive use of being able to operate in a business. So in the same way we had Southern California Edison, they have an exclusive right to provide electricity to the city. They give a franchise fee. Charter does as well. For cable, Frontier does for telecommunications, and SoCal Gas does for natural gas. So we are able to use that for general fund, our franchise fee. We have that in, we have a franchise fee revenue line that's in our general fund. And so it's, you know, we budget the others appropriately in that line. So we wouldn't necessarily look at changing that. That's already been set. We have a 20% franchise fee that was negotiated in the past. So that wouldn't change our dynamics. It would just be making sure that we have enough funds in the refuse fund so that we would still have margin for all the normal costs of providing trash and service, and be able to transfer that out comfortably, so that we can use those funds how they were intended for general fund purposes.
I agree with the mayor. Yeah, I definitely think that we shouldn't, that the city shouldn't be subsidizing the upkeep of the landscaping for certain neighborhoods, and I'm part of lighting and lighting landscape district, and you know, my others, so I'm subsidizing another neighborhood, which is unfortunate, but it's part of the reality. I really do think that we need to do a rate study in order to address. We shouldn't have any deficits across our budgets, and that we do need to address them by brainstorming as a council, as the department heads. We shouldn't have that, right? Yeah, that's what got us in trouble in the past, having deficits and then just kicking the can down the road and keeping building the deficit, and you know, it's small, but this could lead to a small effect, and we shouldn't let deficits grow. We should shrink them. So hopefully, once we do the rate study, we can go in that direction.
I agree with the rate study, however, I would like it a separate one for lighting and a separate one for landscaping. And I'd also like, city services to kind of maybe do a little seminar for those people that have businesses doing gardening, because I think the landscaping part is way too high for the amount that they have to take care of. It's outrageous. So if we could do some type of something to where you could inform them of how to bid for these services, that would be great.
Do we go to RFQ or?
It should, depending on the dollar amounts for that, but we're gonna have to check, and if that's a desire of this council, after doing a study, then, you know, there's nothing that precludes us from doing that anyway. Even if we aren't required to do that, we can still go down that route and get and solicit, competitive offers and try and get some local landscapers if we don't have that. I mean, we've had, I think, some strong success by recent bidding that we've been doing, where we've been getting a lot of good interest. So, you know, it might be an appropriate time to do that. I know we've talked about, we did that for like tree trimming, which is somewhat outside of that, but downtown tree trimming isn't included, but we did do a bid project several years for that. There was an RFP for that. So, yeah, but there's nothing that says that we can't do that.
Do you have any more questions? No?
So I'm hearing that we will move forward with the rate study. So we'll come back when those rate studies are complete. I heard that we want a breakdown of the costs for lighting and landscaping, as there's a strong interest and desire to really evaluate and do some type of competitive bid on the landscaping portion, since we outsource that. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to action items, we're going to 16.1, the adoption ordinance of 701, amending chapters 2.43 and title 2 of the Lindsay Municipal Code, updating the city's conflict interest code and adopting the revised appendix A. And this is by Kyler, presented by Kyler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We presented this item in December. This is coming back for the second reading. This is, again, just, we updated our conflict of interest of who has to file 700 form and at what level. We already gave a presentation on this, so happy to answer any questions, that's come up over the last month, but if there are no questions, from the council or the public, then I would encourage adoption.
Can you just give a brief explanation of what Form 700 is, just so?
Sure, so a Form 700 is a state required form, that's filed through the Fair Political Practices Commission, that, states your economic interests. So every elected official in the state of California, as well as key, staff, need to file that out, required by law. So, this states that, and there's certain levels depending on, the amount of authority where that's filed and to what degree. So some of the things on the 700 form say, what if you have any outside investments? So if you have, if you've invested in the stock market, listing that, they're not real specific as far as the actual specific dollar amounts, but there's, certain periods. So if it's, between $0 and, or, $1 and $10,000, 10,000 to 100,000, 100,000 more, a million or more. So there's various brackets as far as what you have. If you have property, if you have rental income, if you have another business, or if you have a business, any of those things could be listed, as far as on, what type of revenue. And the idea is from a transparency standpoint that, the public has a right to know, if you're in anybody's pocket, right? If there's any other type of revenue or conflict that you're going to be having. So it's just a very transparent way. What this council, as well as myself, we, all report our 700 forms, not only locally through our clerk, that's held in this building, but also online, and it's easily, reviewable, to anybody in the public, through the state. Now, some of the employees that are listed in this would not have to do that extra level and file it with the state, but they would still file it here on city. So if anybody requested it, it would be reviewable. But that's really, and there's some degrees of that. So that's really what we're talking about tonight. But it's an ability to be transparent and to show, any type of conflicts.
Put your business out there.
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure you fill it out.
And all school board members, irrigation district board, county board of supervisors, state legislative.
Any board you
folks,
sit on.
they all, special districts, so hospital district, locally, they all have to do that. Mosquito abatement district, they have to fill this out. So lots of different committees.
Right. So do I have a motion?
Or any public comment?
Oh, we've got a public comment for 16.1. No, this time's closed. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve action item 16.1, the adoption ordinance of 701.
I think
I have a motion from Coach Sonia, a motion from Councilwoman Dave, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to 16.2, the second reading of the zoning ordinance of 702 amendment to change the zoning designation for the light industrial to mixed use, submitted by Christine Chavez. Welcome.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor and council and staff. Happy to be here. Christine Chavez, Contract City Planner. I'm here today to introduce the second reading of the zoning ordinance 702, approving zoning amendment for parcels located north of Hermosa Street, south of West Tulare Road, west of North Sweetbriar Avenue, and east of Union Pacific Railway. We're changing the zoning from light industrial to mixed use to achieve consistency with the general plan. If you don't have any additional questions, we don't have to make a copy.
Do we have any questions? No? All right. Public comment? No, no public comment. Public comment is closed at this time. Do I have a motion for 16.2?
I move we approve 16.2.
A motion from Dave,
I'll second.
second from Sanchez, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to 16.3, the adoption of the 2023 through 2031 housing element certification and program presented by Susan Long. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As you may recall, we did have a hearing in December that went over the housing element. The housing element itself, you actually adopted in December. We're here really for the second reading for the ordinance amendment, for ordinance number 703. Which was to amend Title 18, Chapters 14 and 15, for the by right objective approval in your ordinance, which means by right for housing developments, and to update your ADU regulations to make them consistent with the law. I can go through a presentation if you'd like me to. I can answer any questions, but I know it's not necessary.
Any questions, concerns? No? No? All right, we have a public comment for 16.3. No, no public comment. Let's vote at this time. We have a motion for 16.3.
I motion to approve.
A motion. A motion from Soria, Pro Tem Soria.
Okay.
A second from, Councilwoman Nave, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Yes. Moving on to 16.4, the Community Development of Block Grant, 2025 application and action and recommendation, and all submitted by Susan Long.
Okay. So at the same time that we reviewed the housing element, we also held a public hearing for the city to apply for CDBG funds under the 2025 NOFA. And at that time, it was presented, and ideas were presented to council, suggesting that the city apply for 2 planning and technical assistance grants, as well as funds for infrastructure project associated with fire flow water line replacement. This is part of that process. This is the second hearing that's required. And we are in the midst of preparing this application. The actual portal for submittal opens February 2nd and closes on April the 6th. The total application is 3.6 million, with 300,000 of that being for the 2 planning grants. One is the ADA self-evaluation and transition plan, and then the water master plan update. And then the remaining 3.3 million is for the infrastructure improvements project.
When did you say it closed? April what?
Closes April the, I think, 3rd. So we will have submitted it by then, of course, because otherwise we can't submit it. So we're here tonight to present that to you, and we need to have a resolution approved. We can answer any questions about the application or concerns. The NEPA, which this requires, has been completed. The planning activities and general administration activities are exempt, whereas the water line replacement project is categorically excluded, so no extensive review. There has been consultations with the Native American Heritage Commission, State Historic Preservation Office, and the Snow Answer any questions.
Is there any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, just a few comments. When we, in November, we discussed some of these, or these 3 projects along with some of the other staff. We evaluated other projects. The water line improvements and the general, that was one of the main reasons why that was selected. Is 1, it's desperately needed, but 2, Susan and QK, they had suggested that we needed something that was shovel ready, something that we could really execute on fairly quickly. And so this is one of the few items that we are ready to move forward with. Whereas some of the other ideas that would qualify under typically a CDBG grant, we're not quite at that stage where we have plans ready to go for that. And so we're going to be working on continuing to get those ready so that we're more prepared for the next round. But these are good, valuable projects. The other 2 planning grants are just things that we need to help us access it. 1, to meet the water needs of the community and the water master plan update, and the ADA study will help us with Caltrans. That's a requirement that Caltrans has for a lot of their grant funding, and so making sure that we have that ready will help us with, road funds. So,
Thank you.
So, there's only 27 million available, right? for
Correct.
funds. And so, do you think, do we need anything else to be more competitive, or
So-
is this like our best?
Yes, so let me explain. This is, so CDBG, when they put out NOFAs, they put them out in different ways. This year, it is a competitive NOFA, so you will be competing, you will be rated and ranked. However, the city has not received funds in the last 5 years, which gives you bonus points. You also, because of the city's poverty rate, you rate very well. You have a shovel-ready project. You have good need, you have need because of safety, fire flow, health, items. So personally, this application I feel will rate very well among pretty much anybody in the state. Of course, you know, it's not a guarantee. I can't guarantee anything, but I do believe that based on the applications or that we have focused on and the areas in which we're trying to highlight as far as points goes, that we will maximize the number of points the city is.
And then that's, sorry, and then, so there's 3 projects there, so is there an ability that we don't get awarded a certain amount, so they not only give us 168,000 for the update to the master plan? or-
They are all, yes, you are correct. Each application is rated and ranked separately. So, it's not a all or nothing. It could be that you get one and not the other, or you could get 2 and not one. That is true.
Okay.
Thank you. We're hoping for all 3. Yeah. Do I have a public comment for 16.4? No, no public comment. Do I have a motion for 16.4? Approving the application.
I move.
I have a motion from Dave,
A second.
a second for Councilwoman Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
motion carries 5-0.
Moving along to 16.5 fiscal year of 2024. This is presented by Soledad and Finance Director. Are you going to do this one?
Yes. Do I need to go to the podium?
You can do.
You can do it.
Thank you so much. I mean, I do have to go for the next one, but this one. So we have, the redevelopment agency disbanded years ago, but in order for us to continue to make the payments for some of the bonds, the successor agency was created. And so this audit was for the bonds that are under the successor agency. Those are bonds from 2005, 2007, and 2008. We have them through US Bank. US Bank requires the city's financial audit on an annual basis by the end of December. We did not give them the audit for fiscal year 24 by December of 24. Or 25, and so they have been asking and asking and asking. And so when the auditors are working on our fiscal audit for the whole city for 24, it's not completed. Megan did a wonderful job looking at the letter that they sent us in December, the notice of default, and suggested ask US Bank if they will take just the audit of the successor agency fund. And we can ask the auditors to do just the audit for that fund. They agreed, and so the auditors did a really quick turnaround of 2 weeks and did an audit of just the successor agency fund in order for us to meet the deadline that US Bank requested. And so we did do that. The successor agency fund, all that is in that fund is the money that the successor agency gives us so that we pay the bond payment. There is nothing else in that fund. And so there's no tax money in that fund. There's no revenue from any other source except the money that comes from the successor agency, which is a board composed of, I'm not sure if we have any council members on that board, county-wide. And so from that board, we did a last, best, and final last year. So now just moving forward on an annual basis, they'll give us the money to cover the cost of the bond payment.
and a little bit of admin money until all the bonds are paid off. And so the auditors were able to do that audit, and this is that report that they were able to produce in order for us to be in compliance with US state.
Well, thank you. Do you have any questions? No, do you have public comment for 16.5? No public comment is closing on 16.5. Do I have a motion?
I motion to approve item 16.5.
Motion from Pro Tem Gloria,
I second.
second from Councilwoman Days, all in favor? Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, moving on to 16.6, financial and procurement policy update. This is also submitted by Sylvan. You're popular tonight.
I know. Well, thank you very much. So we have the Finance and Policies and Procedures Manual that we are presenting here for an update. So I chose this picture because policies and procedures can be fun and really easy to follow, or they can be really difficult, like prickly, like those plants there. So they were last updated in December, on December the 12th of 2023. Usually they're not updated so frequently, but it just happened to be that the layout of the policies was a little confusing, not easy to follow, and not everybody was on the same page. And the other thing was some of them were just very old policies that even though they were updated, some of the numbers just didn't get updated, and so we needed to do an update. So for regulatory compliance also, consistency and uniformity, and just for everybody to be on the same page and be able to easily pull out a section and say, here is the policy for the credit cards, instead of having to check the front of the booklet and get the policy, and then go to the back of the booklet and get the procedures. And so just for consistency and easy to follow, that is one of the reasons we're doing this upgrade or update. Upgrade here. So the reference section, so all of our policies are now like together, the policy and procedure together. So if I have a question regarding what's our credit card policy, I can easily just print out page 77 and 78, and those might not be the correct pages. Instead of saying, oh, let me go get this section from the front and this section from the back. And we wanted to make sure that it was consistent because we had like one section would say like, oh, your fixed asset number is 5,000, and another section would say 15,000. And it's like, so what's our fixed asset number for audit purposes? Like, what are we going to be putting on our schedule? So we needed to do this update so soon because of that. So one of the things is that with our budget, the numbers that the goal with our budget is to help all of our employees be on the same page. But with the budget, we have to get this budget approved for next year prior to July 1st. We don't want to start the budget year like we did this year and have it like 3 years in or 3 months into the new budget. We want to get it approved prior to July 1st. That's in our budget book. It was in the budget book before, and the goal is get it approved before July 1st. We have to schedule meetings. We have to have deadlines. We have to meet them. It's in the policy, and the policy gives us plenty of time if you follow it to be able to have enough meetings to provide council the information of what we're trying to budget for and what the needs of the departments are. And so if with the schedule for the budget, it's clear, it's easy, everybody knows, can reference it, and we can follow it and be on the same page. Purchases, the purchase policy gives us a clear explanation of what can we approve, who has the policy, who can approve items, what's our limits. We're going to be implementing Tyler Technologies July 1st. And so with that new software, we're able to say, okay, the person who enters the information gets it all done. Then it goes to their supervisor. They get to approve it. Then we can have, depending on the dollar amount, if it goes straight to me for review and approval, or if it goes to Kyler for review and approval. and then back to the finance department. So in the system, you can have all your different purchases scheduled of who has to approve an item before it can go to get a check printed. That's gonna be so much easier and better. And everybody will be able to say like, oh, before it gets to, the check printing, because it's above a dollar amount, even though it's already in the budget, it still has to get an approval from Tyler. And so he won't be in the dark of, oh, Soledad spent 75,000 on a new software. He would have known based on, the approval process. And we're using the new software to help us with that. For grants, we came up with a policy of, at what point are we gonna be having meetings? What a dollar amount do we have to start requesting a refund if we have to get reimbursed from the state or from a different agency? At what time do we go through that process? And so we'll be able to look at the policy and say, hey, in order to be in compliance with our policy, we have to make sure we meet on a quarterly basis, we have the schedule, and that we request these reimbursements, whether it's on a quarterly basis or as soon as we reach $500,000. Our travel and training policy, I think we will all love this one. Our old policy said that we couldn't stay in hotels that were like $100 a night. I don't know about you guys, but I can't find $100 hotel now.
I need a motel. Thank you.
We did update that policy because we've been out of compliance. So that when there's travel by any of our employees or council, you can stay at the hotel that is with the conference, a nearby hotel, not when that's $100.
Yeah.
So, we did implement that in our travel and training policy. Also, reimbursement rates are going to be on the IRS or US General Service Administration rates, instead of trying to figure out why are we only reimbursing, and even for meals, why do we get $50 for the whole day and only if it's beyond like a 24-hour? Let's look at, if you go to Sacramento, there's a different rate because what we eat in Porterville might not be the same cost in Sacramento. And so those rates will be based on the area where people are going to training or conferences. Our credit cards, will be able to use a credit card easier because before it was really tied to only using it mainly for travel and training and a $50 limit. Of course, we were out of compliance because we were using it for a couple of other things outside of travel and training. And we're also using it for more than just the $50. So those are some of the key changes. For inventory and surplus, we're going to be trying to do the asset tags for items that are under $1,000 that don't go on a fixed asset schedule, but we want to keep track of these small, tools and equipment. And then now we have a surplus sale tomorrow, but now we have a more defined way of how do we do a surplus sale. And, being able to get rid of some of that stuff that we are no longer using, no other department in the city needs it, and we can clean the yards and we can clean up our work areas and somebody else might have use for it. And so that policy was also updated and changed as we went through the updates of the finance policies. A couple of policies that were there, we removed them. There was a huge IT policy and there's a huge, is it 1387 for the
83.
1383? I don't know why it was in there. We would have to hire a whole new individual just to take care of that policy. So some of those policies were removed because it just was something that needs to be dealt with outside of the finance policies.
Yeah, just for clarification, SB 1383 is related to organic waste. So organic waste and IT was in our financial policy. So those aren't necessarily bad policies, but they shouldn't be in financial policies. They should be standalone policies, which we'll be evaluating and probably bringing back at a later date in a separate policy.
Yes. So, and those are the highlights of the reasons why some of those policies just needed to be updated. So this chart now gives us a little a visual of what directors are able to spend and who needs to approve and what quotes need to be added. So that everything that is already in the budget, we can easily go through and make the purchase without wondering, can I purchase this? Do I need to go to council to purchase this? But it was already approved in the budget. And so can I move forward or do I have to take this item back to council? So we can easily just keep the city making the purchases and expenses that we need in order to keep moving forward and bringing more important things to council, because the goal is that during the budget season, we would have already addressed these items with you. If somebody forgets to put an item in the budget, it's not an emergency. And so it has to come to council because it wasn't on the budget. And the way we'll be doing the budget, will make it a lot easier to identify what did we budget for and what did we not budget for, because we'll have a line item where we can see what was budgeted. One of the big things that we also adjusted in our policies is that our fund balance, we have to maintain a 20% in the general fund on a regular basis. That number was just, I think it said like 90%. There's no way you can have 90% of your revenues in your general fund to begin the year. So 15% is normal. We went to like 20%. We really do want to have reserves. So those were some of the highlights. Again, using our new software starting July, which we've already started the implementation process through Tyler, will make it a lot easier for us to be able to implement some of these policy changes and streamline some of our processes. Any questions?
Questions?
So I appreciate the effort to streamline the financial procurement process. I know that it's something that has been lacking. I know when I came into the council about a year ago, it was something that some of the staff members and council members were talking about doing. And now you're later the finally doing it. So I really thank you, your staff, and everybody that's worked on this, because it's gonna help us be more effective, be more efficient, and have clear direction when working on projects. So I really appreciate that, and it's just gonna make ease of handling business really good. I just have one question as far as the credit cards. How is that gonna be reviewed, the purchases? Does it go through the financial process, through the financial department? Or does it go through the department head first and then it goes through the financial department?
So every purchase will have a, every department will have, we send the file to their assistants right now. I still have to have every department approve my little chart. It'll go to the assistants. They will see the bill itself. They'll see what, they'll add which accounts they're going to be charging that expense to. Put a description. The system is gonna pick up the description, but they can edit the description. Once the assistant completes that, it'll then go to the directors. The directors will then review that. And then from the director, depending on the expense level, it may go to Kyler and then come back to me, or it'll go from the director to me, depending on the dollar amount. Right now, we have generic credit cards. So if somebody uses the credit card, they have to sign it out, fill out a slip saying that they took it, bring back the receipt, bring back the credit card and tell us what it's for. And then when we get the bill, we send that over. We are going to try to move on getting some credit cards with directors' names on that and with assistants' names on that. But I didn't put that in the policy because we had a discussion and we want to move forward that way. But I didn't add it in case we delay that, because that'll be easier to be able to say, oh, this statement belongs to Chief. Chief and his assistant get it and they add all the backup and it goes through. So no matter what, the department director is always gonna see it, and then I will always see it, and depending on what is being spent, there's a possibility Kyler's gonna see it. So right now, we see it right away when they return the credit cards with no specific name, and then the directors see it. Moving forward, it might change slightly.
And that document, if we put it on the record, like 170 pages, am I wrong or right?
No, that's
That's a-
correct.
A lot of work.
The reason is that the second section of the policy book has appendixes which belong to like 2 CFR 200, which is regulations and rules by the federal government on how you can spend like grant money. But I don't know, 3, 4 years ago, they passed a rule that said it has to be part of the finance policy. I got a finding for not having it in time. And so it's like, okay, we'll add it there, but we technically, because you want to go to the update version, you just go online every
Yeah.
time you look at it. So half of like the policy book is regulations that we have to keep in our policy manual, where the first half is really just all of our policies, like maybe the first 70 pages. And the last 100 pages are, you better have this in your policy book or you're gonna get a finding, so.
Cool. Well, thank you. More questions? Do I have a comment? For 16.6? No, public comment is closed. Do I have a motion for 16.6?
I move.
A motion from Councilwoman Dave,
I second.
second with, Pro Tem Gloria. All in favor?
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Moving on to 16.7, the adoption of the resolution of 26/04, approving wages and related benefits for urban management and social.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is our last bargaining unit that we have been working with. We met with them several times over the last few months. Council's provided some recommendations. And so tonight, what we have for you is approval, adoption of this resolution to get some wage increases for an employee group that has not received any wages in over 3 years. Any wage increases, that is. In general, there's a 4% base wage increase, COLA increase, which all other bargaining units over the past 3 years have received. There's some longevity pay, some benefit contributions, a deferred comp, as well as some uniform allowance increase. So this will be through the end of June, through this fiscal year that this will take effect, and we'll be right back at the bargaining table with this group and every other group in a few short months to negotiate for the upcoming fiscal year. So if there are any questions specifically about this, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, I encourage approval of this.
Any questions? Public comment for 16.7? No public comment. Public comment is closed. Do I have a motion for 16.7?
A motion to approve 16.7.
A motion from Pro Tem Soria,
I'll second.
second from Councilwoman Sanchez. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I think for me.
Everyone.
Motion carries 4-0-1 with Councilmember Nave abstaining.
Moving on to 16.8, the approval of the city engineering contract with Precision Civil Engineering. And this is presented by Dario Dominguez, our Director of Public Works. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor, Pro Tem Council. Staff is recommending that the approval of the city engineering contract with Precision Civil Engineering to obtain professional engineering services. Back in November, city staff solicited a request for qualifications for engineering services, including state and federal funded projects. The goal of this solicitation was to find a high qualified firm who would be responsible for essentially all your engineering services. 7 proposals were successfully submitted. The evaluation criteria summary is as follows: completeness of response, qualifications and experience, organizational approach, experience on similar projects, staff availability, conflict of interest statements, references and presentation by the team, and finally with some Q&A process through the panel. After evaluating the proposals and conducting multiple rounds of interviews to ensure adequate technical competency and availability to fulfill the city engineer's role, the panel determined that Precision Civil Engineer to be the most qualified and best value to perform these services. The term of the contract is an initial 3 years, and based on an annual review and satisfactory performance, there is an opportunity for a 2-year extension. This action will authorize Precision Civil Engineer to proceed with tasks as identified in the RFQ. Fiscal impact expenses to these services have already been allocated in this year's fiscal budget. And I'm available for any questions.
Do you have any questions?
Mario, could you, since this recommendation is changed from our existing contract, could you talk a little bit about what the transition might look like?
Sure. So I've already initiated a dialogue between our current city engineer and the new city engineer. So and I've been through, my experience through a few transitions. It's not an overnight deal. It takes a couple of months. Our current city engineer is currently working on some projects that it's easier for them to finalize those. And, we also have pros and Pritchard who are also doing road work. But the transition period, I will coordinate that. We'll keep everybody in the loop of things. QK was very kind enough to, tell us that they'll help us out to do a smooth transition. So we'll work together. Again, we'll coordinate. At the same time, we got things to do, so we'll get some projects going. And so, yeah, hoping for a smooth transition process here.
And as well, could you talk about, I know it's not in this staff report, it'll come later on, but just touch upon the on-call engineering that was also included in this process as far as creating a list of some of the applicants that we could use additional work on.
Correct. So the RFQ also states for the on-call engineering services, and actually, some of the firms we're willing to take that path instead, just help us on an as needed basis. But there will be the 7 firms went through a competitive process, so they will be available for a secondary source in case we start running into capacity issues. So that allows us to use other firms as needed.
Is there any questions?
Where are they from?
So Precision, actually, they're
here.
here, and they wanted to.
I see them, they're strangers.
They're they're based out of Fresno.
Oh, okay.
Also city engineers for the city, so.
They came all this way, they might as well come up here.
Right.
They've been waiting.
Well, Madam Mayor, council and staff, it's a pleasure to be here, honored to be selected. Look forward to working with you. If you have any questions.
Tell us about yourself.
It's a very short story.
And you can also kind of do a horse impersonation.
President of Precision Civil Engineering, so 5th generation Valley resident, so roots are strong here, and we love our communities and want to help everybody prosper and succeed. So that's why we're here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You want to introduce the rest of your people?
Sure. We've got Jared Linney back here, Irene Moreno, Lincoln Owensby. And this is our GIMP, David. He should be in bed, he's got a bad back. He still wanted to come out and say, be here, so.
Well, welcome to Lindsay.
So,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
It was worth working with you guys.
Are you good? No, we're,
I don't have any questions, but I do want to say thank you for coming out. I also want to say we do have high expectations, but we kind of, we're at a pivotal point as a city. We're transitioning from having a massive deficit to building a surplus and actually accomplishing some of the capital improvement projects that have been on the back burner. There's parks that need, revitalization. There's lots of streets that need improvement, and there's a lot of work to do, and we're looking for partners that are motivated to build a strong partnership that really are invested in making sure that, even though we're a small city, that we have opportunities for our residents to stay here, to attract businesses, and to make sure that we can prosper. And we're not Fresno, but we have a strong.
That's a great thing.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Do I have any public comment for 16.8? No public comment? Public comment is closed on 16.8. Do I have a motion for 16.8?
Motion to approve 16.8.
Motion from, Pro Tem Sawyer,
I think it.
second for Councilwoman Nave, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Moving on to the last but not least, the 16.9. And we are gonna be, this is also by Darren, is.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to be quick. So staff recommends that the city council award architectural engineering consulting services contract for the Lindsay Generators project to Integrated Project Solutions and authorize staff to negotiate and finalize a professional services agreement in the amount not to exceed $149,750. A little background, the Lindsay Generators project is a citywide initiative intended to provide permanent backup power at essential public facilities to ensure continuity of water, wastewater, and emergency services during power outages and emergency events. The project includes evaluation, design, environmental review, and permitting of standby generators and related electrical improvements to the following locations: Water Well 14, 15, both lift stations, City Hall, Public Safety Building, and our wastewater treatment plant. The project is funded through the Hazard Mitigation Grant and the Prepare California Match Program. Late October, the city council authorized staff to issue an RFQ to solicit proposals to qualified engineering firms to provide professional engineering and design services for this project. The city received 3 qualified proposals. Each submittal was evaluated by the Integral Selection Committee using the criteria as outlined in the RFQ. That included professional qualifications, technical understanding of the project, relevant experience, and the firm's demonstrated ability to complete the work.
Awesome, so thank you.
Based on the score results, Integrated Project Solutions received the highest overall ranking. The firm demonstrated strong experience with generator and electrical work in public infrastructure, a clear understanding of the city's operational needs and the technical capacity. So again, staff's recommending the approval to ICS.
Do you have any questions, concerns about 16.9?
I was just curious as to timetable, for some of these projects, that they're gonna be working on.
So yeah, kickoff is meeting starts really quick here. So this is again for engineering or architectural services, which will take relatively 6 to 10 months. We'll try to be very aggressive with the deadlines. They're not really hard to design and not huge, but there's engineering, so engineering takes a while. We do have the grants, so based on that, we'll move forward immediately to the bidding process for construction.
Thank you. Any more questions? No? Have a public comment for 16.9? No, no public comment, public comment is closed. Do I have a motion for 16.9?
I move we approve 16.9.
A motion from Councilwoman Day,
I second.
a second from Pro Tem Soria, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Moving on to request for future items. None? Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just have a couple of things. The flags, we're responsible for the flags, right? At the mural and over there by, McDermott. They're torn up.
Everybody is responsible.
Yeah.
Who is?
We're in the process of ordering those.
Okay.
Yeah.
At the intersection, we're gonna take them down. Nobody can find the keys. We have to get a lift up there to get them down. Used to be McDermott, used to be us, and then we ended up taking yours.
Okay.
So we're gonna do something. Yeah, we're
All right,
working on it.
thank
I
you.
did see him. I thought it was McDermott's issue, but. Okay, that is ours. Any other requests for future items? No? All right. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night.
Thank you.